You all know what day it is. It is I Am and More presents the Journey to More. And you know, I search all over to make sure you get the best guests. And today we're talking about not only purpose, something that is like always being discussed. Today we're going to talk about the promise and the profits attached to purpose. Like what happens when you really lean in and you take that leap in purpose. You all know who I am. I am attorney Jamila Moore. I help you start, structure, and grow your businesses while legally protecting them through contracts, copyrights, and trademarks. Now, today we have a best-selling author. We have a coach, we have a consultant with us, and she's going to really break this down to us because her mission is to support world hope. Sabrina, tell us a little bit more about you.
So my name is Sabrina Walker Hernandez. And first, Jamila, I want to say thank you for having me here and inviting me to your stage and actually being a gift in my life and helping me through this process of supporting World Hope. And so I started my company, Supporting World Hope, in 2019. I started it from my hospital bed. So a little bit about my journey was for 20 years, I served in the Boys and Girls Club. I was a CEO, I was operations, I did direct services. And I really enjoyed that because I was one of those kids, as people often say about who Boys and Girls Club serve. And so it was my honor to give back and to help those kids. But in 2018, I was diagnosed with two blood cancers. And they say that those blood cancers were brought on by stress, right? And it's very stressful running a nonprofit organization, a nonprofit business, but it's not. It's stressful running a nonprofit business. And so, as I was going through chemo and going through that whole process, and then in 2019, I had a stem cell transplant. And if no one's ever had a stem cell transplant, and I hope maybe you haven't, you're in the hospital for 30 days. And so I had 30 days, and I was like, what am I going to do? Because I don't want anyone else to experience what I had to experience as it relates to stress. When you're running a business, whether it's a not-for-profit business or a for-profit business, you have similar challenges. You have the challenges of staff and employee and retention, and leadership. You have the challenge of developing funding systems and building relationships with clients and donors. And so I just wanted to make sure that business owners did not have to face that journey alone. And I had a huge database of knowledge and templates that I could share out. And that was the impetus for my business.
Thank you for sharing that. I think, we never know what someone is going through. That's a listener, the family members, or anything like that. So I am 100% sure that this is encouraging someone and they're discovering that there is hope. And one of the things that you talked about or that we can really pull out is that if we do not lock in on doing our purpose the right way, the way God intended, it will bring about a result that is not a promise, that's not profits, and it's the exact opposite.
Yes.
So if you don't handle purpose right, purpose can make you unwell.
Yes. Yes, because it is your purpose, and because you feel that calling, you can really devote so much time to it, even to the even it impacts your health. So I know I have a purpose. I have a purpose of helping people. And I devoted so much time to that in my career. But now that I've started my business, I see the bigger picture. Like it happened for a reason. I have clients all over the world now, and the impact is so much bigger than what I could imagine. And not only is the impact bigger than what I could imagine, it actually is less stressful than what I was doing before because I get to control my own time and I get to control my own projects, but I still live in my purpose. And I'm so grateful for the lesson. You know, a lot of people say 2 cancers. Wow. Like I didn't even know you could get 2 cancers until I was diagnosed with 2 cancers. But I look at, and my first question was not why not, but it was, you know, what am I supposed to learn from this? There is something that I am supposed to learn from this. And what is that lesson? Because it's never a question of why, you know, why me? It's like, why not me? You're not special. But
Mhm.
it was a reason that it happened to me. And what was I supposed to learn from that? And I really believe that was my journey to learn that I can live in my purpose on a bigger scale, but at the same time, take care of my health.
Live in my purpose on a bigger scale, and at the same time, take care of your health. So, when you think about purpose and you moving forward, how did you even discover, like, I am Sabrina, and this is what Sabrina is supposed to be doing?
Well, it was a lot of conversations, a lot of conversations with God in my head, going, okay, why, you know, there's a reason for this. I'm always looking for
Mhm.
the reason, and why is this happening, and why is this happening? Not to me, but why the journey? What am I supposed to
Mhm.
learn? And so after a lot of conversations and just putting different opportunities in my path that I wasn't even looking for, right? And lining it
Mhm.
up, and me going, oh, okay, this makes sense. And just stepping into that, it has been game changing for me. And I absolutely love it. I don't know if you can tell, I love to talk. So, like doing this and helping people and going into organizations and being able to facilitate and train and, you know, inspire them and talk about transformational leadership and help them with their retention of employees and help board members learn how to fundraise and help nonprofit organizations know what they need to do to identify the right board members and bring them along. It is a bigger impact than teaching people how to fundraise. I do that, but I'm teaching them more how to fish.
Mm.
And if I can teach them to fish, then the ripple effect of the impact that it's going to have around the world on their clients, on their employees, on their families, it is just going to make the world a better place. And that's why I love that concept of supporting World Hope, because I'm supporting those businesses, I'm supporting those nonprofits and organizations that's really and truly going to have an impact on the positivity in the world. And we need positivity in this world.
No, that's so good. We do need positivity in this world. And I think once you take a step outside of yourself and you really could see how you being bold enough and courageous enough to go after purpose, what that could really do for your life, it gets you to a place where are at a place where you are living something unimaginable. And I think that's the promise of purpose, right? And it takes that first little step of saying, it's an opportunity, but who, me? I know I recently thought about when I was 25 and I first became an assistant principal. And I was like, God, how in the heck I get this? I'm not supposed to be here. These kids ain't listening to these teachers. What I'm gonna tell these teachers? Huh? What am I supposed to do with this? And I remember one day sitting in my office and it being like, if I've given you an opportunity, it's because I've equipped you with everything to be able to manage that opportunity. And it took me a while, but I had the best grade. I had the worst grade. Like that grade was turned up.
Yes.
But when I got done with that grade, it was the best grade, to the point where folks were coming in from the network saying, like, what just happened here? How did this happen? But when you are walking through purpose, another thing that you said is you have conversations with God. And so I took my strength out of trying to make sure that grade level was running right. And I said, God, what are we gonna do with them?
Can't do it without you. I need your help.
Right, you had David Grafals coming in there saying, Ivana said my mama's on YouTube twerking. I'm like, oh, now David's temper tantrum. What am I supposed to do with that? And it's like purpose sometimes has highs and lows. How did you deal with the low moments of purpose once you were out and doing your own business?
Well, it's funny that you asked that question, because right now I'm not in a low, but I feel like I'm in a holding pattern. I don't know if that makes sense. So I've done like a lot of investments, and I've, put in the time, and put in the energy, and now I'm like, okay, I'm waiting. I'm waiting. And so the conversations that I have with myself is, okay, you've done the work. Now you have to trust the process. And God does not, I think Oprah said this, God does not put you any place that you're not supposed to be. And so know that, and wait. Be still, which is one of my favorite passages. Be still. You've done the work. Now it's time for it to come to fruition. So all trees is going to bear fruit. You just not patient. So just wait and be still. So that's what I tell myself. And I would tell, here's another one that I tell myself this was when you're in a lot of pain, when I was going through chemo. I don't know if anybody's ever been through chemo, I'm sure, because, the world has been impacted by cancer. But when you have those bone aches, and you're sitting there, you don't know what to do with yourself, and you're curled up in the bed, and you just want to just sleep it off, and you really can't even do that. Here is one story that a friend of mine shared in her testimonial, that she wasn't talking to me, but she shared this. And I realized one day, maybe this past year, that I hadn't gotten in the boat with Jesus in over a year. I hadn't needed to get in the boat with Jesus in over a year, and it was a blessing. So as I was going through chemo, bones aching, all of that stuff, her testimony was, if you remember when Jesus was in the boat and the water and the storm, and I think Peter was out there, and, all the disciples kind of looking at him going, he's asleep in the boat and the storm is raging around us. Like, we're about to die here. Like, what's going on? And he's asleep. And her takeaway from that story, and my takeaway from that story, has always been, in the midst of the storm, if Jesus is not worried, then I am not going to be worried either. And what I am going to do is and I would visualize this, I am going to get in the boat with Jesus, and I am going to lay my head on his chest, and I am going to go to sleep, and I am going to let Jesus and the boat rock me, and I'm not going to worry about the storm that's happening around me, because if he's not worried, then why should I be? And I would oftentimes get in the boat with Jesus when I couldn't manage the pain, and just rock and let him rock me to sleep. And I have not had a get in the boat with Jesus moment in over, I would say, almost 2 years now. And I am so happy about that. I am so blessed that low has not happened in my life in over 2 years. That is a blessing within itself.
That is a blessing. And as you were sharing that incredible story, it brings about the need for people who are chasing purpose, who are in their purpose, to understand that you have to get in the boat and rely on Jesus in order for you to experience the promise of peace
Yes.
that is associated with purpose. And so, sometimes we will look at the circumstances, and the circumstances will then cause us to go into this moment. But if we can remember, he never leaves us, He never forsakes us. Then, and he's not into being embarrassed. He wants to get the glory. And so, if you are doing his work his way, you get to experience this unique peace. And I think what you're talking about over these last 2 years is like, okay, you got the lesson. And so now you just don't get out the boat with Jesus. You remained in the boat. And so you're able to walk with the level of peace, understanding that he is your source, understanding that he is your God, understanding that the enemy is probably plotting ways to cause the wind to come to make the boat shift. However, I'm in his boat. And so whatever you throw, okay, it is X, Y, and Z. Well, God, you shall supply all my needs. Well, it's X, Y, and Z. Well, God, you are a healer. You said by your stripes. And I think as we are in purpose, as we are going through it, we have to remember to keep Jesus in our boat. And then we have to remember to go to the word, because it is the word that will keep us encouraged. When I tell you I've been over here Googling, talk to me about emotions in the Bible, because somebody got to help me with these emotions. Right, just keeping it real, just
Yeah.
being honest. And sometimes we don't have these honest conversations, because you can be in purpose and you can be in the perfect, which I like to call the mature will of God. You're in that mature will of God and you're like, this don't feel good.
No. And it's okay,
Mm-hmm.
right? It is okay. You're if you keep living in that purpose and keep having those conversations, it is okay. Even when people around you don't understand what in the world is she doing. Um, it is okay. Trust in the Lord, and
Mm-hmm.
it will reveal itself. So that has been one of the greatest revelations to me. My husband used to say, what are you doing in there? And I would say, I'm building an empire. Yeah, I'm building an empire. Now he sees it. He's like, oh, okay, she's doing something in there. I'm like, yes, I am. This is happening. This is what I want to do. And I, such is life. It is about these lessons, and some of them are great lessons, and some of them are, what we're supposed to get out of this journey. But it is about going through this life and learning those lessons so that you can live in your purpose, because we're all put here for a reason. Every single one of us, we have gifts that God has given us. And one of the things and one of the conversations that I have as well is, when I stand before the Lord, I want him to say that you used every gift that I gave you and you left nothing on the table. And that is one of my ultimate motivators. I want to use every gift. I got a second chance in this life, and I want to use every gift that he gave me to the benefit of others. But I'm going to be honest, to the benefit of myself too. It is a selfish thing, because I want to stand before him and say and know that I gave everything. I used every skill that you ever gave me to the benefit of your glory and to the benefit of the world. And I don't want to leave anything on the table.
That's so good. And it makes me think about the prophet's purpose. And when you think about prophets, most of the time people think about money. And I feel like I'm in this space where God is talking to me to talk to people about things outside of money, because we will make money an idol. When money isn't our source, yes, it answers all things, but it's not our source. When in reality, like, the profits that come from God are unimaginable, because sometimes it's you being in the right place at the right time and meeting the right person that just needs to say one thing to you that can transform your mindset, right?
Mhm.
Or They can take you on and be your mentor. You never sometimes know. I got that from a book. I think it's from Draw the Circle, meaning like anything can happen. And it's when you are in position of purpose, because purpose is a position that you are in.
Yep.
That position and that posture allows you to experience profits that could go that are way beyond money.
Yep. And there's certain things that, money. Look, I ain't gonna sit here and say I don't like money, because I do. I love to travel. It takes money. Okay, I love to eat. It takes money. But there are some things that money cannot buy, and those things are, they cannot buy, like what you're saying. They can't buy. For me, they cannot buy peace. For me, they cannot buy purpose. For me, they cannot buy those mentors, those people that you surround yourself with in your life that want to see you succeed. And so it is important that we understand why we want the money. Why? You know? And if it is so you can flex, or if it is so you can do all these other things, you need to examine that. I know I want money is a couple of things, a couple of reasons I want money. I just said one of them is I want to travel, but also I want to change the world. I give to a lot and invest in a lot of nonprofit organizations, but I also want to leave a legacy for my family. And so there's a bigger why for the money, and just know your why. Know your why, and why you're doing this, and why you want the money, and that'll help you in this journey.
So that's really good that you said that. And it makes me think about where do you feel like your life would be if you didn't choose purpose and you just stayed in your comfort zone?
Ooh. I feel like I would still be in the hustle of things. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like that I would still be at dis-ease, which is, disease in the body. I I know that I would not feel the peace. Peace is very important. It is very important to wake up and have peace in your life. And I feel as if I didn't follow my purpose, that I would not have the peace in my life that I have now. And it is very important, because if you've not lived in peace, you know what that can create, not only for you as a person, but create for your family and your spouse and those around you. And so you have to come to some level of peace, because if you can't find peace for yourself, you're definitely not going to extend that peace to those around you. And so living in my purpose has allowed me to find that peace. I am at peace. I know I'm doing what I am supposed to do. And again, my goal is to stand before him and not leave anything on the table where he says, well done. That's what I want to hear. Well done. And my good and faithful servant, well done. And that doesn't mean that I don't curse sometimes. I want I want to be very clear. That don't mean I don't get frustrated and I don't curse sometimes. I do. And I say, Lord, you're just gonna have to take that cursing demon away from me, because sometimes it feels good to just curse somebody out. I'm he's still working on me. So I'm not perfect by any means, but I also think in living in purpose and peace that you extend yourself and others around you grace. Now that was my word. Grace was my word for 2022.
Mm-hmm.
And I never left that word. Grace and space. I added space in 2023. Give people and myself grace, and give me space. And so none of us is perfect. That's not the goal. But the goal is to try to live in your purpose. So if you're living in your purpose, you'll be more peaceful. And if you're more peaceful, you'll create joy in the world around you. And so extend when people, I learned about calling people in instead of calling them out.
Ooh, hold on. You're not skipping past that. Break that down for us because people can mess up your purpose. So you got to get people right to get your purpose right.
Yes, people can mess with your purpose. And I learned, I was talking to someone, like you said, people say things and you're like, oh, okay, that was good. Like you take that away. But I was talking to someone and she said, oftentimes we call people out instead of calling them in. I was like, wow. Okay, what does that mean? And the way she explained it to me, I have decided oftentimes I'm going to call people in. If someone says something and it's a little off-putting to me, instead of me getting mad and calling them out, I'm going to stop and I'm going to call them in. I'm going to say, okay, I know you said this, but I know you. And the way I took it was this way. But I know you're a good person. So I'm going to ask you, can you explain that? Because I'm sure you did not mean to say it that way. And I'm not even going to do that in front of anybody. I'm going to pull them to the side and allow them the opportunity to explain it instead of calling them out in that moment. I'm going to call them in. And that has been a lesson and something I have taken with me. And we ain't talking about politics, but let me tell you something. During these elections and doing all this stuff, I had to call a lot of people in because my first reaction was to go at them. People I've known all my life, in my professional journey, in my personal journey, and I had to do a lot of calling people in because I really wanted to call them out. I wanted to go in. But so it's been a lesson. And so I think, again, stories, testimonials, God puts people in your path so you can evolve and get better every time.
No, that's really good. And I think it goes back to like the biblical principle of love your neighbor as you love yourself. And so if you don't ever want to be on the outside, you would, call people in. And
Mm-hmm.
I think, the higher you go with your purpose, the more people you encounter, and the more different personalities you encounter. And you have to really have a great deal of emotional, spiritual, relational, and leadership intelligence, to be able to manage people right. Because you do not, and it's inevitable where at times we will be the offender. But as much as we can, we should try not to offend people and to meet them where they are, even if it's at a place where we just need to walk away and have a boundary. Because when you're going after your promise and your profits of purpose, there are distractions. And how have you navigated just pulling the distractions or pulling yourself away from distractions?
Well, having a word of the year, I did grace and space, and then I did mindfulness, and really kind of just focusing in on my purpose again. Why am I here? And writing things down. I literally say, okay, in making decisions and going back to business, even in making business decisions, I go, this is the goal. Does this taking this on get me closer to the goal or not? And if it doesn't get me closer to the goal, then it's a distraction.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I need to say, okay, not at this moment. I, because of my background and because people know that I'm living in my purpose, I serve on 5 boards. 5. 2 fundraising boards where I ask for money, and 3 where I give out money. And I also am the chair for the Mayor's Youth Advisory Committee. Do you know I still have people asking me to serve? And I have to tell them, I can't. At this point, I can't. I can't give you everything that you need. And I have to say no, because it will become a distraction. And it does not lend itself to my focus and my goal at this time. I was very strategic about which organizations I said yes to because they do align with my purpose. And now, people just coming out of the woodworks. It's like, I don't know you. I don't know your mission. I don't know. You just know that when I speak, I have that ability that when I speak and go out and I'm involved with something, that I lend my credibility to organizations.
Mm-hmm.
I have developed a brand that is transparent and trustworthy. And so I know what I bring to the table. And when I lend my credibility to a project, not that I'm bragging, but when I lend my credibility to a project, it's like it's an endorsement. They know, oh, okay, they're doing good work over there. And so because of that, they will support your project or they'll look at you a second time. Now I have different organizations who see that and they want me to get involved with their organization, but
Mm-hmm.
I can't because one, it doesn't lend to the goal and the focus, and two, I don't know you. And so why would I lend my credibility to you?
No, that's good because you have to, it's almost like you have to look at your purpose pillars in
Mm-hmm.
a sense, and creating like values and pillars for your purpose. And so once you know that your no's and your yeses are around, is that going to pull me away? I think about the other day, somebody inviting me out, and I was on my way, and I was just like, I pulled over and sent the text and say, hey, actually, I can't make it. This is a commitment I had to myself. I don't know what y'all gonna talk about and those things. But this year, one of the things I am working on is relationships. So it was like, oh, it's a good time. But no, it has to work in set times that work for me. And we have to be mindful of how people will pull you in
Yes.
for their own interests to help them feel good, to help them figure it out, and all those different things. And so I think that's spot on. And as people are just navigating, okay, taking your steps in purpose, because you don't have it all figured out and it evolves over time. And what you thought is probably not the full picture. And each step you take, there is some promise, there are some profits, and there are some problems that will arise. And it's how you handle it that is going to really prove what happens to you next. And I teach this, to the entrepreneurs that I work with, whether it's as a business coach or as their attorney, because there's so much attached to what you are doing. And so my work with you is not just work with you, it's work with the people that will work with you.
Mm.
And so it's the understanding that I'm not helping one, I'm helping many. And so when you carry that almost like knowledge and wisdom, it causes you to operate with a different level of excellence.
Wow.
And so sometimes people want to, take side roads and have shortcuts with purpose, but no.
Nope. There is no shortcut. There is no shortcut. You just got to live in it and lean in it and honor it because it is a gift.
I like that. Lean in it, live in it, and honor it.
Yeah.
So, any last thoughts or comments as you think about the promise and profits of purpose? I didn't add problems because it's true they're gonna come problems.
There's always going to be problems. Look, the Lord did not promise that we were not going to have problems. It's actually the opposite of that. You will have trials and you will have tribulations. And so I guess my last words would be, live in your purpose. And if you don't know what that purpose is, just be still and listen. Be still and listen, and it will reveal itself, and have those tough conversations with yourself and with God, and it will reveal itself.
Yeah, I love that because you really do have to be still sometimes and allow it to just play out and know that He's God and He has you with whatever outcome is going to come.
Yep.
And so, for those of you all who know that your purpose is in entrepreneurship, Make sure you are locked in with I am and more. If you are doing business and you don't own a trademark, you get on over there right now because you're riding dirty. If you don't have contracts that you understand and know, get on over there because you're riding dirty. If you don't have a copyright template and you out here doing presentations and stuff, you got it at this point. But I'm thankful for you spending time with us. And as always, I want you to believe more. I want you to be more so that you can do more. Take care, everyone.